Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Stephen Blazejewski, and I'm the president of the New Jersey LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all so much for being here today. Um, Before we get started, I will share my screen and go over a few housekeeping items. So let me just pull those up real quick. One second. Computer's having a little bit of trouble catching up. All right, can you all see the screen now? My apologies for that. You're good? All right. Hello, everyone. Again, welcome to our Small Minority-Owned Business Certification Summit. We've got a lot of great information for you today. So before we begin, I just wanted to go over a few housekeeping items. First, note that this event is being recorded. However, the Zoom breakout sessions at the end of the event will not be recorded. So everything else will be recorded and will be accessed later via our YouTube page. So you'll receive that link in a follow-up email as well. I would ask that just everyone please keep themselves on mute until we get to the breakout sessions. And please change your Zoom name to the one that you registered with so that we can make sure at the end you wind up in the correct Zoom sessions that you requested. Zoom breakout sessions that you requested. So again, if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to ask them in the chat box. And if the presenter has any remaining time at the end of their presentation, we'll announce your question live. Otherwise, they'll respond to your question in the chat box. Okay. So before we begin, this is our run of show for today. This is on the event registration page that you used to sign up. As you can see, we've got a lot of presenters and a lot of information coming your way. So I just ask that all the presenters remember to please keep in your scheduled time frame. We're starting out with our housekeeping, followed by our keynote speaker, Hester Agadosi. We have 2 panel discussions following that, and then we go into our certifying organization and municipality sessions. And then we have our 2 breakout room sessions. So what I would tell everyone to do is just pull out your phones, take a quick picture of this, or hop over to the event registration page so you just know what's coming up and you can be prepared. And I'll give everyone about 15 to 20 seconds to do that on their phones if they need to, or a screenshot on your computer. Okay. So if you didn't get that, like I said, it's on the event registration page, so feel free to hop over there and look at it there. Before we also begin, I wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsors. So our gold sponsor, Market Smith, our silver sponsors, PSCG, TD Bank, Comcast, Lakeland Bank, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield, most of whom are speaking today on our panel. So again, thank you all for your support, because without you, this event would not be possible. And thank you to our founding sponsor, BCB Community Bank. I wanted to introduce my fellow board members as well. So like I said, I'm Stephen Blazejewski. I am the president of the New Jersey LGBT Chamber of Commerce. We have Joseph Renga, our immediate past president, Lori Seliger, who's our advisory board member, John Trayer, who is our VP of Finance, Stephen Garabell, who is our VP of Supplier Diversity and Certification, and is also hosting our 2 panels today, Jacob Miola, VP of Membership, and Chanel Brooks, board member at large. This slide is just to remind you briefly that we this is a part of a two-part event series. So the second event is 2 weeks from now, and we're titling it Meet the Diverse Chambers of New Jersey. So this will be your opportunity to meet the other diverse chambers in New Jersey, their members, connect with them, learn about all the awesome programming that they're doing over the next couple of months before we end the year. Would strongly encourage you to attend some of their networking events, either in person or online. But it's a great way to just get connected with fellow small and minority-owned businesses. So would strongly encourage you to sign up for that event. It's 2 weeks from now, September 23rd from 9 to 12, and it's free. So hope to see you there. As a reminder as well, our chamber is hosting a variety of in-person and virtual events. So we are keeping a close eye on the developing Delta variant situation. So, and we do have a number of safety protocols in place for our attendees. So if you feel comfortable in attending, we would love to see you at some of our upcoming events. Our next one is at Grounds for Sculpture on Thursday, September 30th from 5 to 9. So we hope to see you there as well. And then I just wanted to take a quick minute to congratulate all of you. I know there are that small businesses have been truly challenged, to say the least, over the last year and a half. As my friend TJ Chernick likes to say, he's on this call, everyone probably in this room has earned a degree in pivoting over the last year and a half. So I just wanted to take a second to congratulate all of you on all that you've been able to accomplish over the last year and a half. You've really shown that you're able to not only thrive, not only survive, but thrive in times of, in uncertain times. And I think that's something to be celebrated. I would also say too, that you've also come together to support one another, and that's truly inspiring to me. And you're taking the time today to invest in yourself. I know this is a long event. We've got a lot of great information coming up, but you've made the conscious decision to be here today, invest in yourself and your business by getting certified and connecting with other like-minded business owners and Fortune 500 companies who want to do business with you. So again, congratulations to you on making that decision to be here today. We've got a lot coming up. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Esther Agadosi, who is the Chief Diversity Officer for the state of New Jersey. Esther?
Good morning, and thank you so much, Stephen. It is truly an honor and pleasure to be extended this invitation by the New Jersey's LGBT Chamber. I am a fan and advocate for chambers because I believe that for our business owners here in the state, many of whom have to spend the greater part of their time and energy making sure they meet their bottom line, right? Being profitable, to be able to take advantage of all the information that's available, particularly when you're a small business or a diverse business, you don't have the staffing or resources to be connected to get a lot of this information. And so what has been presented to you, or what is going to be presented to you today by the Chamber, is truly a value add. And I welcome the opportunity to just share with you what we're doing here in the state and how that can be of benefit and value to you. So in that regard, since today's topic is certification, I wanted to really just dig into a little bit, because I don't make presumptions that we're all on the same page when we talk about what certification is, what the value of certification is, and what do you do once you are certified. So I wanted to just give a little bit of context. So when we talk about certification, there are several certifications that one can get on a federal level, on a state level. There are also organizations that provide certification for diverse businesses. I'm going to be speaking specifically as it relates to certification on a state level, and that is the state certifying agencies. Excuse me, I'm trying to give up coffee, so that's why my words aren't coming over as smoothly as they should with caffeine. But be that as it may, our state certifying agencies are the Department of Treasury, as well as we have New Jersey Transit, we have the Port Authority, and we also have New Jersey Transit, New Jersey Department of Transportation, and the Port Authority, as well as the New Jersey Department of Treasury. So those are our state certifying agencies. And why is it important? What is the value of being certified? The certification essentially says to the business community, those who are actually seeking goods and services from vendors, it says to them that your firm, your organization has been vetted and it has been determined to be 51% or more owned by a minority, a woman, a veteran, a service disabled owned veteran. And we absolutely are in discussions and want to include our certification to include the LGBT community. But presently in New Jersey, we do not have a certification for the LGBT certification. However, for all intents and purposes, you probably, if you are an LGBT business, you probably would fit under one of those other umbrellas, right? Minority or women-owned business, or also small business where we have certifications as well. And so what's the value of that? The value of that is that we have on state contracts, we have presently set-asides for small business owners, 25%. We have service disabled owned veterans set aside of 3%. And what that set aside means is that 3% or 25% of state contracting has to be set aside exclusively for these businesses. And so that gives you a great opportunity, if you fit within that set aside, to be able to be a part of the state's supply chain. And I want to pause and talk about, when we say state, I'm going to use that synonymously with public contracting, right? Because if you get a state certification, that basically is good for you as it relates to public contracting in New Jersey. And I think one of the things that's significant, which a lot of businesses are not aware of, are there are a myriad of opportunities to be involved in the public contracting supply chain. So by way of example, on the state side, we have 72 state departments, authorities, commissions, colleges, and universities. All of them contract for goods and services. So when we talk about billions of contracting opportunities, that's what we're talking about in terms of the entities that are a part of or affiliated with the state supply chain. But again, I said public contracting, so that's just state. Then we also have counties, right? We all know here in New Jersey, we have 21 counties. The counties also contract for goods and services. So you have opportunities on a county level. Many of our counties are doing major work, be it in our community colleges that are making enhancements. There's a courthouse that's being erected in Hudson County. Again, hundreds of millions of dollars of opportunity just on that one job. And this is just off the top of my head. So we have on public contracting, county opportunities. And I believe you have representatives that are here who are going to talk to you more about that from Mercer County and others. Additionally, we have in the state of New Jersey, 566 municipalities. These municipalities also contract for goods and services. So when you just think of public contracting on a state level, you have a variety of different entry points, be it as what I just described from the state side with that 72, and the 21 counties, or also on the municipalities. So understanding that when you get this certification, it signals to all of these public contracting units that you are a diverse business And if they are seeking either through a set aside, and although the state does not have an MBE set aside, and I explained to you the ones that we do, there are many counties that have their own set asides for MBEs. And I believe, again, Mercer, we have Bergen, we have Essex, several of them may be participating today. But again, that's information that's available to you because again, with this certification, you would be able to avail yourself of contracting opportunities because they're looking for you. And that's just on the public contracting side. Also, many of our large corporate partners, and again, some of sponsors to today's program also have supply chains, also look to contract for goods and services with vendors and diverse vendors. So again, having this certification tells them that you have been vetted and therefore you are someone that they can also look to obtain products, goods, and services. So there is a real value and an ROI for getting a certification. But what I will say to you is that we are on a state level currently in the process of conducting a disparity study. And that is because we are aware when it comes to our public contracting here in the state of New Jersey, that we have not been good in including diverse businesses into our supply chain. The last disparity study that was conducted in the state was commissioned in 2003. And the study findings came out in 2005. So that's over 15 years ago. But what I will share with you, the findings of that study then, and what we know anecdotally now, is that as it relates to the state supply chain, we're still less than 10% representing diverse businesses. So, and what I can tell you from being involved in state government and being involved in really seeing what that means, right? In terms of the contracts and the opportunities that many businesses that are part of our supply chain, once you come in, they're able to grow, they're able to thrive, and they're able to scale. So there is absolute value in being a part of public contracting. And there is absolute value in getting a certification. And there is absolute commitment at the state. And I can tell you that again, because I've been in state government here in New Jersey, 20 years, 30 years in public service. And never has there been more of a focus on inclusivity. Never has there been such a singular focus on looking at our processes and our systems to see how we can be more inclusive and how we can bring more diverse businesses into our supply chain. And never has there been and created, including my role, chief diversity officers within public-facing institutions with a singular focus to ensure that we have equity and inclusion. So I would tell you that as it relates to your ROI, that it's something that you definitely want to do because it can enhance your business opportunities. I will also tell you that the Department of Treasury recently waived the certification fees. So now you can get certified. Your business can be certified free. And I don't know how many, opportunities there are this day and age to get things free. But this is free. So if you are not certified, I would encourage you to run out and get that done now because it's at no cost to you and it can only bring value to you as it relates to your business. And that was one of the things because I've looked over our past disparity studies, and it was interesting that one of the findings in the 2005 study was that businesses reported that it was very difficult, and costly for them to be certified. So, what the good news is that 16 years later, that's not the case because certifications right presently are free. So you have the opportunity to be certified for free. And more importantly, as I described to you, that puts you square in the space of being seen as a vendor that can be used for public contracting purposes, as well as for private contracting purposes. Because again, many of our corporate partners will go to our database to find diverse businesses and certified businesses. And so that database is called NJ Savvy, SAVI. And once you're certified, your business goes on NJ Savvy. So any procurement officer, be they on the public sector or the private sector, because it's public facing and it's available to all, would be able to go there and see who are registered and certified businesses in the state of New Jersey. So now, having said that, I just want to take a moment again, because I think context is important. And Stephen, if you can just at this moment share my screen so that I can just give you some very practical information. If you are familiar with this site, that's great. If you're not, I would suggest that you go to www.businessnj.gov. Again, this site itself demonstrates a commitment from the state to try to make information easy and accessible to you. So you can see at the top, it talks about contracting with the state. And if you scroll down a little bit right there, the first thing you have to do is register with NJ Start. The reason why you need to register with NJ Start is that in order for you to do business with the state, you have to be registered to do business with the state so that the state can actually cut you a check. So registration with NJ Start is different than the certification that I talked about, but they both go together, right? Because we want to be certified, but also we need to be registered through NJ Start. If you scroll down a little bit more, thank you. Come up, right. Register with the Department of Labor for public work contracts. So if you are in the business of providing services in the construction field, then you also want to register with the Department for Labor public work contracts. And they are specifically built into many of these construction contracts, small business set-asides. In some instances, there are language for what is termed SED, socially and economically disadvantaged businesses on these contracts. So when you talk about socially and economically disadvantaged businesses, that would also be an umbrella that can include diverse businesses. And there are a myriad of opportunities that are not only available, but are getting ready to hit the street. In fact, and I'm kind of giving you an advanced commercial, that next month in October, the New Jersey iBank is going to be hosting a construction summit to talk about opportunities through a lot of the federal dollars that are coming to New Jersey that are going to be used on infrastructure projects in the state of New Jersey. And we're talking about billions of dollars of infrastructure projects in the state of New Jersey. So although today is a rainy day, guess what? Infrastructure includes water, sewer, as well as our transportation system. And there will be opportunities at that summit to meet with our municipal partners, as well as many of the large contractors and primes about these upcoming infrastructure projects that are going to be taking place over the next 5 to 10 years. But it's, again, by benefit of you being connected to the chamber and being on today's program, you have this information. So now you have the opportunity to know about it, put it on your calendar. I'll make sure that the chamber has that date. It has not been finalized, but it will be the end of October. again, construction opportunities for you to take advantage of. And then if you can see, if we can just scroll down a little bit more, obtain certifications to take advantage of state programs and set aside. So that's what we're talking about, where you would go, you click on that, and it would bring you into the field where you would be able to begin the process of getting certified on a state level. So I'm not sure how I'm doing on time. How am I doing on time, Stephen?
Yep, you can wrap up within the next minute or so.
Okay, thank you. So, and thank you, I'm fine with, you can take that off the screen. So again, you want to go to www.businessnj.com, and that'll bring you directly in to get you all the information that you need to be registered, to be certified, to have your business in NJ savvy. And so now you are frontward facing for procurement opportunities on a state level, county level, municipal level. And what I will tell you is that when you're there, all of these stakeholders, all of the procurement stakeholders, that's where they're going to go. They're going to go to Savvy if they're looking for diverse business owners in New Jersey. And so oftentimes, sadly enough, you could be a diverse business, but no one is going to know that because you don't have the certification. You could be doing business with the state or with public contractors presently without a certification. You're not required to have that certification, but the significance of it also is not just for you in terms of contracting opportunities, but it's for us as public entities to know how we're doing. And so if you're certified and we know that you're a part of our supply chain, that's the data that we use to determine how we are meeting our goals. So remember when I started out, I said that less than 10% of our supply chain represents diverse businesses. Well, that number is based upon us being able to look at our data, being able to look at our spend and see out of our spend how much of that spend goes to certified diverse businesses. So that's why it's important for you to have that certification as well, because we capture that data and we use that data to be able to establish goals. And for the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, we don't just want to meet goals, we want to exceed goals on a state level. So I hope that today that you'll be motivated by the information that you receive, that you will understand the capacity and the ability for you to really be able to just turbocharge your business opportunities through certification. And I also hope that you'll take this opportunity to speak and establish relationships with many of the people who will be speaking with you today. They're my partners in this work. They're phenomenal people. They have a lot of information, resource information that will be of value to you. And more importantly, they demonstrate the commitment that I spoke about that the state of New Jersey has to your success. Thank you again, Stephen, and for everyone affiliated with the Chamber for giving me this opportunity to open up and share these remarks with you.
Thank you very much, Esther. I appreciate you being able to hop on this morning. We got a lot of great questions that came through as you were speaking. A lot of them you already answered, but there are a few, if you don't mind replying in the chat.
Sure.
I would appreciate that. I want to make sure we keep moving along. And next up, we've got our first panel discussion, successes from certification. So you'll be hearing from several business owners and their successes with being certified and the various certifications that they hold. So I'd like to welcome Stephen Garabell, our VP of Supplier Diversity and Certification, to host that panel.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending. Hester, thank you for all your insight into certification. And I cannot agree more that certification is something that every business needs. It's definitely, no matter what size business you have, it's something that you need. If you sell business to B2B, B2C, it's still something that you should be going and obtaining. I also sit on the certification committee for the NJLCC. So when you get your LGBT certification, I'm part of the committee that reviews everything to make sure we're good and we get everything in place. And it's definitely an opportunity. In New Jersey, there are 3 municipalities that accept the LGBT certification. And I want to thank Jersey City, Hoboken, and Essex County for leading the way in the state to really, take the LGBT business enterprise certification. We did an amazing event with Jersey City a few weeks ago about doing business with Jersey City. So keep on the lookout, and it shows you even more importantly why certification is important. We have 2 great panelists today, and we're going to have a little fireside chat on their certifications. So I'm going to invite my panelists. One is our corporate partner and also a certified business, Market Smith, and Amita Meta Possible. So I want to start off by just welcoming you and thanking you for spending some time with us. And start off by asking you a little bit about what certifications does your business hold, and how has that certification helped you build your business? So if I want to start with Rachel from Market Smith, and then we'll go over to Amita.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for having me. So yes, as Steve said, I am Rachel Schulteis from Market Smith. I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and Market Smith is very proud to be certified at a state and national level with various certifications. We actually started this journey about 7 years ago and have continued to add to the certifications in which we hold. So at a local level, we are certified as women-owned and a small business, which is WBE and SBE. And those are really driven by various revenue levels. Obviously, the small business is capped at a certain revenue level. And those certifications have been advantageous to us because a lot of institutions and businesses that we work with really want to support both women-owned and small business. Then from a national level, we are certified with WeBank. And that is really what gives us that national access to the women-owned business forum. In addition to that, we have NJLCC at a national level, and obviously our affiliation with you at the local level as well. So, we find that when we are looking to do business with whether it be state or federal businesses, or even private businesses now are looking to really have their partners have various certifications to diversify their own workforce. So for us, it's been very advantageous. It's given us access, whether through your portals or through partnerships, to really engage with clients that we would have never done before.
Thank you. And I love the fact that you have, local and national. I have a small business that is SBE certified with the state. And it's something that is necessary. And the access that you talked about, WeBank is, the NGLCC is pretty much a sister organization, and we've done a lot of our certification work modeling what they've done, and it's been an amazing process. Amita, I'm going to ask you the same questions. What certifications do you hold, and how have they helped you build your business?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been at this for 3 years, left financial services after 25 years to kick off AMP Consulting, also known as Amita Meta Possible. And really, I've got 3 tranches that I've been focused on, and it's been around career transformation. So helping people really reevaluate what they want to do with their careers, or even get them placed within other organizations, help people with their branding, and then helping organizations really line up with candidates as well, like trying to get underrepresented groups and key clients into their talent pipeline. So ever so important right now. And then the D&I initiatives, that's something that I hone in on. And so it's been interesting. And, Stephen, I couldn't agree with you more. Been lots of starts and stops and pivots over the past three years. And it's interesting. When I first launched AMP, I hadn't been certified for a year. And then a year into it, that's when I decided, you know what, I should really be taking advantage of the national and local certifications through the NGLCC and then New York, New Jersey, my diverse supplier council or development council. So So that actually just sort of really ramped me up, or even amped me up, so to speak. So I think the value, I hadn't recognized it. I just, I just assumed that, hey, like, when people meet me, they'll see that I'm a minority-owned business, woman-owned business, and then the LGBTQ aspect of things. But then really having the certifications and having that back me on my websites, on my signature lines, and being able to sign up as a diverse supplier with organizations that I work with, it's really played a really critical role in my sort of success in the past year and a half, 2 years, and it's also broadened my network. So, Stephen, to your point, I've had a chance to meet with so many other peers, and we're able to coach each other through just sort of growing the process, and even just like testing and learning things. So I've got people that I work with that they've been established, entrepreneurs for years, and to be able to meet with people and sort of bounce ideas off of each other has just been extremely tremendous for me.
I think that is, it really sums everything up. The certification is more, one, you're leveraging your true identity, and which is really important. While someone could visually see that, you're a woman or part of a minority community, this is where you're really branding yourself. And I think it's, that's a great point that you brought up, because it's more than just, the certification to get the contract. It's kind of the brand and who you are. And the networks is so important. I love that you're leveraging your network for more than just, to get a contract. I will tell you, we get people that get certified, and they, that's when the work begins. Certification, you get certified, that's when the work starts. And that's when you're networking and building your networks. I can tell you, I don't think I've ever seen a group do business together like the WeBank certified businesses do, and they really uplift each other and do business with each other. And same thing with the NJLCC. Our businesses do business with each other. We actually, at the Chamber, are going through a rebranding project. We hired an NJLCC certified business. We went out to RFP, and it was a great process for us. And it's just another way to do that. So thank you for sharing that. And I just have one more question for both of you. I know we didn't have a lot of time today, but I would love if you could put your information in the chat box also, because I think that will be helpful, for anyone else that might want to connect with you or even learn about your services. I think that's always great to do business together. What advice would you have for a certified business to make the most of their certification? Because it is a scary process for everyone. I think when you get your first certification, you kind of learn, and I think Amita, you said it great. I went in this a year and I didn't have one. Then I realized how to do it. 3 and 7 years is a nice time frame that you've all been in contracting. So what advice do you have for someone to kind of get over that fear of getting certified, and then what to do after it?
So I think in terms of getting certified, it definitely can feel overwhelming. There's a lot of forms to fill out, a lot of information that's requested, but just go through it step by step and take your time. The agencies are very, gracious and helpful throughout the process, so lean on them. Especially, WeBank, once you're certified with WeBank, they really help you get other certifications. So I definitely encourage you, once you're involved in one, to lean on them to figure out what should be next for you. And then once you are certified, I think you said it best, right? It never ends. Continuously networking, there's always new businesses coming in. We have been pulled into RFPs with businesses who found us through some of these portals. We pull in businesses we found through some of these portals, and it really creates this connectivity and loyalty to each other that we really appreciate, and something we're very invested in. Whenever we need a partner, it's the first place we go. So be active in these organizations, and also make sure you have a very strong one pager so that people understand what you do and what value you can bring to them while they're looking for business. And that will lead probably to much more fruitful partnerships.
Rachel, that is amazing that you said it, because we sometimes can't do a contract on our own. Yeah. And the tier 1, tier 2, and subcontracting piece, partnering together, power in numbers. You might have a special service and another business has a special service. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, because I think that's really important to realize, some of those contracts are big. The average contract with the city of New York is $250,000. That's a large contract for, everyone to take on. So thank you for sharing that. Amita?
Yeah, I think I didn't know what I didn't know coming into this. I had my proper business plan launched, and then going through the recertification process, it can feel a little daunting, but once you go through one, a lot of it is pretty similar in terms of the information you're sharing across. So it gets easier. But I would say once I got certified and even got connected with Stephen, and then you'll get to meet Terrence Clark later with the New Jersey Minority Supplier Development Council. Just having that connection, it just opened up opportunities in terms of member spotlights, getting to pitch your business more broadly to the community through these various agencies. So for me, it really allowed me to even just practice my pitching. And to your point, Rachel, having a handy pitch sheet, a website, which you'll see I put into the chat, just sort of building some of that level of infrastructure goes a long way. And it's a nice opportunity to also just give back to others. So yeah, it can feel like a daunting process. And look, there are tons of agencies. You're going to have exposure to a lot today. And so it's just sort of sitting down and really trying to prioritize. Okay, so where is my business model? Where should I sort of begin first? And for me, it was, okay, I want to start with the NGLCC simply because when you see me, you don't know that I'm part of the community. So I thought that was important to live out loud and put that out there. And then clearly the minority certification. So yeah, try not to feel daunted, but know that there is tremendous value, and don't get overwhelmed, because I know in the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many resources. And the thing is, there's a way that you can prioritize that. And there are people like the Stevens and Terrence Clark and Dora Reddicks that they can help you navigate the path. So I can't say enough in terms of the exposure that I feel like I've gotten from the certifications that I have. And there's plenty more that I still have yet to sign up for.
No, and I think that is such a great point, and putting a plan together. And the really cool part about a lot of these certifications, so, the NGLCC works very closely with the NMSDC, with WeBank, and even cities and states. So there's fast track programs. So if you're an LGBT certified business with the NGLCC, you can fast track into city contracting with New York City and some other cities and states. And then also, if you're a WeBank certified business, your process with NGLCC getting certified is a little less. So there's lots of partner organizations, and we all work together in a little bubble to make sure that we can really make the process easy. And I will tell you, once you get your first certification, you have almost like a packet that you're just going to go and use for different certifications. And it's really good because it helps you, know that you have all those documents in place, you have everything you need, and you can go and prove that. So I want to thank Rachel and Amita for spending some time with us today and letting us know about their experience with certification. And I'm going to turn it back over to Steve. If you have any questions on certification, I'll drop my information in the chat too. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'm a big believer that certification is something that everyone should have, and as many as you qualify for, you should have all of them. So thanks for joining us today, and I'm going to turn it back over to Stephen.
All right, thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Amita, and thank you, Rachel, for sharing on this panel. We've got a lot of great questions coming in. Keep them coming. We might not get a chance to answer them live, but hopefully someone can just reply to them in the chat box as we've been doing. Additionally, we can follow up with you in the breakout room sessions. That's when you can really ask those in-depth questions for the people in the rooms that you've signed up for. So I'm going to actually welcome several people now. We've got another panel discussion with several of our Fortune 500 companies and sponsors. So we've got PSEG, Marisol Ramirez, who is our Supplier Diversity Manager, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield, Basil Petrov, and Beatrice Meza. We've got Comcast with Elizabeth Murray, who's the Senior Director of Government and Regulatory Affairs. and TD Bank, Michelle Albanese, who is Head of Responsible Sourcing and Supplier Diversity. So this panel discussion is all about the importance of certification when you're looking to work with Fortune 500 companies that want to do business with subcontractors. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve again to host this panel, and we'll go from there.
Hey, thank you again, Stephen, and thank you to our corporate partners for joining us today. One is actually my corporate partner, Michelle. We work together at TD Bank, so I'm happy to have you all here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a very kind of open panel, and we're just going to go. We'll start with Marisol from PSE&G, and we'll move through. But I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your organization and how you work with certified businesses. I know it's just a start, so make sure if you could tell us a little bit about your org and how you work with certified businesses.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I am the Supplier Diversity Manager, which falls into the Procurement Center of Excellence at PSEG. So I'm pretty much responsible for ensuring that our enterprise, we meet our supplier diversity goals on an enterprise level and bring in as many diverse suppliers as we can. We have a very robust program. We've been doing this for over 20 years. We're recognized in the state of New Jersey for our program, but it doesn't mean that our program it doesn't grow. And we always find ways to innovate our processes and engage more diverse suppliers. So our program is pretty much one that we are engaging with all our advocacy partners, which are all of the certifying agencies that are here today. We have a very great relationship with them, and we use them a lot to be able to help identify diverse suppliers throughout the tri-state area. I also host supplier diversity fairs. Prior to COVID, there were 3 in the tri-state area that we would host. One in Newark, which was our largest one in Salem, New Jersey, and one in Long Island. So over the last year, we've pivoted to a virtual format, and I'm going to do a shameless plug here. We have our supplier diversity fair scheduled for October 27th, so more details to come on that. And we look to do business with minority, women, veteran, service disabled veteran, and LGBTQ+ suppliers. We don't have a set target for each category. We have an overall target, and our goal is to have 30% of our applicable spend by 2023. The good thing about that goal, which we set in late 2019, early 2020, is that we are very close to meeting that target this year, if not early next year. And it was an aggressive target because we were taking it from 20% to 30%, which may not seem like a lot, but to increase it by 10% is a lot. And we are well on our way of meeting our supplier base. We have onboarded over the last year, we onboarded almost 70 suppliers, diverse suppliers through tier 1 and tier 2 opportunities. And one thing I want to say about the certification is that, especially with the state of New Jersey, if you have more than one type of diverse classification, the state of New Jersey is one of the best ways to get certified under various certifications in one process. So I always recommend, if you have more than one classification of certification, go through the state of New Jersey, because you can kill all those birds with one stone. And it does help to have all the certifications. As Hester mentioned, the state of New Jersey does not officially recognize LGBTQ+, but PSEG does business with LGBTQ+ suppliers, and we do track it for our purposes. But when it comes to us reporting our numbers to the NJBPU Supplier Diversity Development Council, which we're a member of, we have to use the secondary certification to be able to incorporate those numbers. So it's very critical that if you are a diverse supplier, I say to get that certification. We have changed our contracting and our RFP process, where we've changed the weighting for including diverse suppliers. in our RFP and RFI process. And we've also made it a 30% requirement for tier 2 for our prime suppliers to include diverse suppliers in their bids as well. So we're doing whatever we can to ensure that we bring on as many diverse suppliers as possible. And one thing that I would highly suggest is if the company you're looking to do with has a supplier portal, register and just focus on those things that you're really good at. Don't look at the 50 things that you might be able to do. Focus on those 5 to 10 things that you do best. And that way it helps us to better identify where we can use you within the procurement stream. And one of the best ways for us to be able to sometimes get suppliers in, because I will be honest, PSEG takes about 12 to 18 months to onboard a vendor, is to bring you into a tier 2 opportunity, which gives you the opportunity to come on under one of our prime suppliers and work with them and build that relationship with the prime and PSEG.
Thank you so much for that, Marisol. I'm so happy that you touched on the tier 2, because I think that it's such a great way to get involved and to really get in and make your mark in that organization. And those tier 2 opportunities are just as lucrative as the tier 1 opportunities. So next I'm going to ask Basil and B from Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield to talk about the same thing.
Good. Thanks, Stephen. I'll start, and then B will help us with her angle here. We felt that the importance is such a high item and such a critical component of any business in engaging with large corporations like Horizon, that sending one person, our chief procurement officer, was insufficient. So we substituted one person for 2 to give you a broader perspective. In my role as a technology sourcing manager for Horizon, I see all the technology acquisitions for the organization coming through my team. And because of that, we're seeing how smaller businesses operate, how they approach large organizations, and we have an angle, a perspective that could absolutely enhance your abilities to gain business, to get their attention, and potentially grow your organization to the levels that you would like. Without a doubt, items that were mentioned here by Marisol, our neighbor in Newark, as well as Rachel before, are critical. And those are get certified. Organizations like ours are ramping up the diverse supplier spend that we have with veterans, minority-owned businesses, LGBTQ organizations, and we cannot necessarily know, who individual companies are, who they're owned by, but with the pressure coming to us from both our corporate leaders to increase diverse supplier spend, but also from our internal clients who want different perspectives, who want to approach business solutions from the perspectives that weren't potentially explored as heavily, as highly before. We are seeking organizations that have these diverse angles and diverse perspectives. And the way we do it ourselves is we go to organizations that certify, we go to their databases, and we'll look for the aspects of services and products that they have to offer, first and foremost. But then if they are certified, if they bring that potential perspective, they become so much more of value to us, of greater interest to us. So certainly get certified where you can on a local basis, on the state basis, national basis, because that gives you an opportunity to go into a large number of organizations where you as a small business wouldn't be capable of reaching out and pitching your business to them on a consistent basis. One item that Rachel mentioned, I think Rachel mentioned, is have your story straightened out. Don't just pitch them everything. We do IT consulting, we do IT implementation. Focus on what you do best. Put it on a sheet of paper, because process-wise, as you're found, or as you are finding someone you want to work with, the question will come up: what it is that you do. Tell us your success stories. How have you done it with someone else? So that is important, not only because of who owns your business, but just for general success of a business under any circumstances. Once you have a contact, certainly work with it. Understand how you can grow your business, how you can pivot it, what could improve your relationship with a supplier, with your prospective clients, because we don't have an internal database that we dive into for diverse suppliers every time RFP comes up, an opportunity comes up. But your presence, your one pager will absolutely sit with sourcing managers, category specialists, and make it absolutely valuable when opportunity comes up. B, if you don't mind kind of covering the process of contracting when we do establish a relationship with a prospective supplier, that would be great.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm B. Meza. I'm contract manager over at Horizon. And so one of the key things here is this initiative, right, to really have diverse companies work with a Horizon. And there are many, many compliance requirements at Horizon, just the niche that, what we do. But almost as Marisol had mentioned earlier, we are almost changing our contracting requirements or processes to make it more friendly for small businesses to be able to really compete with the bigger companies for Horizon to onboard your companies, small businesses. So, I see a lot of the RFPs coming in. I see a lot of the contracting that, is submitted. And so again, I think key here for me is to say that once we see the diverse suppliers coming in, we help you. We assist in trying to maneuver through a lot of the compliance requirements. I mean, things such as, some of the challenges, for example, that we normally see are insurance requirements, right? We have huge companies coming in with, some of the standard requirements, and some of the small businesses may not have that. Again, we work with you. We work with your companies to help you meet those requirements and work through that onboarding process. So again, the key here is certification, because it's the only way we're going to find you through our RFP processes.
That is great. Thank you. And you have a lot of our there's a lot of breakout rooms later. So if you guys have more particular questions, we'll have people there to answer. But I think that's really important to understand is that, the different companies you go to, you're going to have different requirements that you're going to have to meet. So next up, I have Elizabeth Murray from Comcast. And Elizabeth, I wanted to ask you, what advice do you have for a certified business to do business with your corporation?
Thank you. I thought maybe if it's okay with you, I'll take a minute just to talk a little bit about Comcast. We are a Fortune 26. We're in 40 states and we have properties abroad. And so we're not just a cable company in the way that folks traditionally think about us. Comcast owns the Flyers and runs a business that runs arenas. And so the first thing I would say is get familiar with Comcast and see, kind of what an entry point might be. I will say that the lion's share of what we purchase is network equipment. And so we are largely dealing with, the Motorola's and the Cisco's of the world because, kind of everything has to work uniformly. So we, depending on your size, we encourage companies to really look for tier 2 opportunities in their field. We, like the others, tier 2 contracting is part of all our contracts with our prime suppliers. So if you're a smaller business, tier 2 is probably the way to start. We do about 300, last year we did about $320 million in tier 2, and we're hoping to continue to grow that. Everyone has said it, but I'll say it too, being certified is incredibly helpful. I posted in the chat the Comcast database that we need suppliers to register in. I say this all the time, if you're not registered at that site, you don't exist to Comcast. And you can, there's even a way, if you're not certified, to provide us with a certification, personal certification that on behalf of your company, but being certified is much better. And so we rely on the database to find companies that meet our needs, and the being specific when you register, it takes some time, it takes some work, but to the degree that you are focused and specific, that really helps us to kind of figure out what you're good at and what you bring to the table, and think about, so that as you're talking to our folks, what you can do for Comcast, right? So that's what, it's not enough to say, oh, I'm an IT company, and so you have IT, so you'll need someone like us. What makes you different? What makes you special? What do you bring to the table? What problems can you solve for us? And so I said most of our contracting is network, but we do all the other things too, right? IT and furniture and office supplies are, one of our biggest diverse suppliers is a furniture company in New Jersey. So there are an enormous number of opportunities, both here and in other parts of the country. It's really just a question of making sure that we can find you and that we understand what you bring to the table.
And Elizabeth, I'm so happy we're having some common themes today. And I think it's so important you brought up get into the vendor system, because that's really important. And the common themes of tier 2. Tier 2 is something that I am a big believer in. So I'm happy that you're all giving the same advice of getting into that tier 2 role. Next, I'm going to move over to Michelle. Michelle is from TD Bank Group. And Michelle, if you could also just give us a little bit of advice for our participants on how to do business with TD.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. And thanks to the two Stevens for having me today. So in terms of doing business with TD, I'll just say quickly that we are a Toronto-based, Toronto headquartered company. Not many people are aware of that. So we are across Canada and in the US. And I wanted to say that, I'm sorry, in Eastern Seaboard US, we're, as you know, is our footprint. And so what people don't realize is we do supplier diversity both sides of the border. So we have US certified companies working in Canada and vice versa. So we do have a very North American type program, I would say. And, and we're looking for always looking for suppliers in all types of categories. Our procurement is centralized. I'm in the procurement department. I lead the program, and we do track and monitor tier 1 and tier 2 as and we are always looking to enhance that, and we're working to really advance our program. But I want everyone to know that our program's been around for 10 years, but we're really looking to enhance it. We're always looking for diverse suppliers through our sourcing initiatives. We do search those databases on a regular basis, and I want people to know that that's really key to make sure that you're searchable, not just that you're certified, but what are the keywords in your data, in the databases. Once you get certified, what are those keywords where we can find you? Because a lot of times there's a lot of general keywords I find that suppliers use to describe themselves. So we really want to know, how you differentiate yourself, but also make sure that you're searchable and your profiles are up to date, but they also reflect your niche services as well as the general services, because sometimes we're looking for certain specific things. I'll give an example: learning and development, diversity, unconscious bias training. We need to find those keywords to search you out, because there's a lot of companies that do, learning and development. So those those are some of the tips. We do look for certification, so I do recommend certification highly. And just make sure you're certified, keep your profile up to date. We do scrub our data every year, and we do accept all government certifications as well. So I think that kind of covered everything. I don't want to duplicate, but again, I just want to say to know where you fit into our organization, whether you're tier 1 or tier 2, that's really key. And just know that working for a bank, for example, there's a lot of regulatory, requirements. So the due diligence is quite onerous, and we want you to be successful. So we just want you to understand how you fit in, and that way we can figure out the best fit and the best way to come into the bank. It could be tier 1, it could be tier 2. I think that's it for me for now.
All right. Well, thank you, Michelle. I want to thank everyone for their time today. You'll get a chance to talk with everyone a little bit more in the breakout rooms, but think about this: what makes your company stand out? I think that's something that everyone touched on today. Your one pager is really important, but what makes you stand out? And Michelle brought up a great point about how are you searchable? Those niche services that you do sometimes are what's going to get you that contract. So I'm going to turn it back over to Stephen. Thank you all for participating, and I look forward to talking to you all in breakout rooms.
All right. Thank you all again for participating on that panel. Thank you, Steve, for hosting. We are about 10 minutes behind in our itinerary, so I apologize to everyone, but I'm sure you're all agreeing that this is a lot of great information being presented. So we run a little bit over today. We're going to try to reel it back in with some of these certifying organizations and municipality sessions. But for right now, I will begin those sessions with TJ Chernick, our good friend and director for the NGLCC New York chapter, National LGBT Chamber of Commerce, New York. And I will turn it over to TJ for learning more about how to get certified as an LGBT business enterprise.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here with everyone. We're throwing a lot of information out at you. So I hope you're taking notes because this information is gold. But as Stephen mentioned, TJ Chernick, my pronouns are he, him, his, and I am the director of NGLCC New York, as well as the New York Certification Specialist for NGLCC. I'm really excited to go through this. I'm going to try to keep time as quickly as possible without talking too fast for everyone. So I hope you can keep up and take some notes, but I'm going to share some slides. And the goal today is that we've been talking about the benefits of certification and how to really get the most out of it. But what we haven't covered yet is how to actually get certified. So I'm going to go through some of the ins and outs of getting certified and kind of get us started and then hand it off to the rest of our partner organizations, the amazing partner organizations that are here today. So you may not know, but it is estimated after an economic study that if every LGBT-owned business were to get certified, it is estimated that they would contribute $1.7 trillion to the US economy. That is more than the GDP of some countries, including Russia, Australia, and South Korea. That is a huge economic impact, yet we still don't have the same opportunities as an averagely owned business. And that said, you may also not know that on average, LGBT-owned businesses after this study are actually, they rank higher in their age. They withstand the turmoil of being a business. So it's a powerful thing. And NGLCC is the sole certifying body in the United States that certifies a business as LGBT-owned, just like our partner organizations. I'm going to go through how they do this, but one of the biggest things to realize is some people have alluded, and NGLCC's one of their missions is to work with municipalities, with corporations to ensure that they are inclusive in their contracting opportunities. And this is really powerful because that means that these companies and these municipalities and these governments are working to be inclusive and give back to the community through and put money back to the community, which is huge. And that is NGLCC's mission, is to make sure that all businesses that are LGBT owned have the same opportunity as any other averagely owned business, because the saying is, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So that said, hold on, we're frozen. Just give me a moment here. So we've been talking about certification, but what is the importance, the cycle of business inclusion and supplier diversity? It starts with buying from the community, and then that means that that means that those entities are also being pro-LGBT in the workplace. Things like the Corporate Equality Index by HRC makes sure that not only should a company, to get a 100, not only should a company be inclusive inwardly, but they should also be, their procurement should be inclusive as well. So major companies like American Airlines, TD Bank, Chase, these companies are being inclusive, giving back to the community, which means they're also marketing towards the community, which creates a beautiful cycle of ensuring that business inclusion means LGBT inclusion overall. So NJLCC's Supplier Diversity Initiative is a really special thing. It is a team of people whose sole mission is to help you get certified. It is an awesome team. They're all specialists. And if you get certified with NJLCC, they will actually walk you through. There will be a person that is your representative. If you're in New York, it will be me. They will walk you through the process of how to get certified and how to leverage certification generally. To speak about the eligibility, this is something we'll discuss a few times today, but primary eligibility to be in a certified LGBT business enterprise or LGBT-BE. I'm going to throw a lot of acronyms, especially because my name is TJ. I work for the LGBT community of NYC. So I'll try to correct any acronyms that I throw at you, but the important ones are that you must be 51% LGBT owned and operated. You must have proof of US citizen or permanent residency, and legal for-profit entity. You must be a legal for-profit entity in the United States. Unfortunately, nonprofits cannot get certified because they are not solely owned. The steps of certification are that there's a profile that you're going to fill out. When you fill out, the team gets a notification that a new person is entering the system, and we reach out to you and start walking you through the process. You'll upload those supporting documents that I just told you about, and then we'll host a site visit, which is actually virtual for the sake of COVID and safety. So someone, an NJLCC representative will sit down with you and go over some of those documents and some of the information and verify that you are in fact the majority owner of the company. And then finally, the NJLCC National Certification Committee, which our Dean Steve Garabell actually sits on, they are the specialists that will sit down and give you the final review and then hand off and say that you're actually certified, give you the seal of approval. So let's address the biggest question in the room that I know might already be happening right now in the Q&A, but how do we prove that you're an LGBT person? I know, right? It is not checking that you have the full Madonna discography or that your toolbox of DeWalt is fully filled out. It is actually a great process that has been created in tandem with our sister organization, WeBank, and we produce what is called a status qualifier. And whenever you apply for certification, you will get a list of status qualifiers to show that you are an LGBT person. And these things include marriage certificates, gender affirmation letters from a doctor, and the most popular, a slew of other things, but the most popular is a letter and a legal signed affidavit that's from a reference that states that you are indeed the owner of your business. My friend so-and-so is the owner of this business and is a member of the LGBT community. They sign an affidavit, send to us, and that is a status qualifier. So just a quick overview of what you're going to see when you dive into the profile and start submitting these documents. Safety and discretion is at the top of NJLCC's mission of certification. All this information is very private. We all sign NDAs. We do not share this information, and it will only be seen by the specialist like me and then the reviewer like Steve. This is what you'll see for supporting documents. Some of the quick pitfalls of the supporting documents I would just love to bring up. It often comes up, unfortunately, if you are a visa holder on your way to a green card holder, you're not eligible for certification, but we are constantly revisiting these type of qualifications. The 51% ownership is huge. It is often sometimes the case that there will be a business that is woman owned and LGBT owned, and a decision has to be made. The 50% cannot be done. 51% is crucial because that is the majority. And tax documents. If you are brand new to your business and you have not filed taxes, that's okay. Just submit your EIN number and we can use that to show that you are a legal entity. This is a view of your certificate of what you'll actually get to show your government friends or corporations looking to do contracting with you. But the benefits of certification are huge. And honestly, it goes so much far beyond the actual direct contracting. The tier 2 is the most important. I will back up everybody in that. But there are ways, national recognition is a great benefit. We've had awesome companies that have put the NGLCC certified logo on the back of their food packaging, along with the kosher and organic signs. So there's incredible benefits, and NGLCC's mission is to help you take the most of that and get the most out of it. I'm keeping time, Stephen, don't worry. All right, the NGLCC Stakeholder Engagement Center is a really special benefit that you'll get as an LGBT BE. And this is where any entity, a corporation, an LGBT BE can go and say, if they have an RFP they're trying to fill, this department will actually comb through the list of LGBT BEs and help you find the perfect match for that RFP. So you can tell that NGLCC is really dedicated to making sure you get the most out of certification. Some other opportunities within the organization that you can take a part of is the NGLCC Communities of Color Initiative. They provide great opportunities for businesses that are members of the communities of color, matchmaker opportunities, networking opportunities, education, fantastic events. The NGLCC Trans and Gender Nonconforming Task Force is a really great opportunity as well, if that is a part of your community. These are some current initiatives and programs. Sip and Pitch Fridays is really cool. I would recommend, if you go to nglcc.org, I would register for this event. It is a great opportunity to see 10-minute pitches of some other LGBT BEs and what they are doing. Really cool stuff. And then finally, couldn't help but talk about New York. So as your neighbors to New Jersey, there are ways to not only leverage your certification locally, but grow your business community as well. We have members monthly mixers every third Wednesday of the month, except for this month because it's Yom Kippur, so that has been moved. EY Biz Pitch Competition is an incredible event hosted by EY, where you can give a pitch of your business to a panel of EY judges, and they give away awesome prizes. We do educational events and online events and more. We are always going to have the ability moving forward that we will represent the entirety of New York as well as our metro area. So I encourage you, if you live in the general area of New York City, we would love to have you. We do provide discounts for NGLC for New Jersey LGBT Chamber members. So you can reach out to me at tj@nglccny.org. I'll put that in the chat. Or if you have questions about certification, you can reach out to me or the Supplier Diversity Department here. So Stephen, I think I kept it right under 10 minutes, and I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, TJ. You're excellent. Appreciate the high energy, especially on this rainy morning. So I'm gonna not belabor this anymore, but I'll turn it over to Anna Tack. I hope I said that right. Tack. What is it?
It's Anastasia Tkach, so all
Okay.
the letters, pronounce them all.
I apologize. So Anastasia is going to be speaking about WeBank and their certification for women-owned businesses.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. And it was great to hear all the kind words about WeBank certification earlier. I'll try not to repeat TJ too much because we do have very similar processes and requirements. So I'm a certification manager at the Women's Business Enterprise Council Metro New York, and this is one of 14 regional partner organizations which processes certification applications on behalf of the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, or WeBank. And we've heard a lot about different certifications today. So WeBank certification is specifically for women-owned businesses looking to do business with large corporations and our corporate members. So this differs. You can get women business certified at the local level, at the state level. We heard about some of that. So with your town, with your city, or with your state. And that's to do business with these city enterprises, state governments, and we're specifically for doing business with corporations. So here at WeBank Metro New York, we process certifications for New York, Southern Connecticut, and Northern New Jersey. And we give local events for companies in those areas, but WeBank is a national certification. So the other RPOs process applications all over the rest of the country. We have about 1,400 certified WBEs in Metro New York and 50 corporate members who we work with closely on their opportunities and for them to get in front of our women-owned businesses. At the national WeBank level, there are about 17,000 certified women business enterprises and 350 corporate members. WeBank certification validates that your business is 51% owned, operated, and controlled by women or women owners. So it's not just the ownership in the documents, it's this operation and control. So knowing that the female owners have the knowledge and skills to run the business and are actually doing the work. They're on the ground doing the day-to-day. And we have some of the same requirements. It has to be a for-profit business, US citizen, or permanent resident, but we have no size requirements, no industry requirements, and no length of time in business requirements. So if you are a brand new business just recently incorporated or organized, you can definitely apply for WeBank certification. And instead of business tax returns, you'll have to submit your personal tax returns for 3 years. So that is something about applying for certification. You have to be willing to dive into some of these documents. You have to be willing to let your reviewers see some of this personal information. And it is similarly very protected. It's just our team of 4 reviewing these documents, but you have to be willing to give up some of these maybe more personal documents. So we also have the same process of submitting an application, and that's through the WeBank portal of WeBank Link 2.0, and with all the supporting documents. And then we do a staff review, committee review, and a site visit. All of our site visits right now are being conducted virtually. We typically do an in-person every 3 years. Hopefully next year we might get back to that.
I apologize, Anna. Are you sharing your screen? Because it's not coming up. I'm not sure.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay, great.
Sorry, I'm just reading.
No worries.
We also are a third-party certifier of the Women-Owned Small Business certification through the US Small Business Administration. And this is for government contracts and specifically set-aside contracts, which are just offered to women-owned small business companies. So if you're interested in doing business with the federal government, this is definitely something to look into. We process it just alongside WeBank certification because it is many of the same requirements, but you can also go directly through the SBA and get certified as a women-owned small business there. And they do have requirements for number of employees or gross receipts in order to be considered a small business. And those are based on your primary NAICS codes, what the requirements will be. And you can check all that out through the SBA. So when thinking about if WeBank certification is right for you, definitely look if your product or service is targeted at corporations, wholesale, retail, or government agencies. And if you have the capacity to be a tier 1 or tier 2 supplier like other people have discussed, if you're willing to share these personal details and you're willing to do the work that is required after being certified. So you get certified, then you upload the certificate to the portals, and you have to know how to use the certificate. And really, do the work that's behind it. It doesn't guarantee these contracts. It guarantees a foot in the door with these supplier diversity portals. Some of the benefits of WeBank certification are being able to access these supplier diversity portals. We also, through the WeBank Link portal, once you're certified, you can access the supplier diversity information of our corporate members. So you can get in touch with them. We also have monthly events with our corporate members. So how to do business with AARP, what they're looking for right now, how to sign up for their supplier diversity portal. And we have links to all those on our website, which have been previously recorded. So if you want to check those out. And you can also access the database of other certified WBEs. So if you're looking to do business with another women-owned company, or you want to find other women-owned businesses in your industry, you can access all of those that have been certified in our portal. You can also use WeBank logos on your marketing materials, and there are also specific women-owned logos, which are for retail products specifically, and WeBank has a whole women-owned site for retail products, and also gift guides and different things for retail products specifically. And then part of our national events and local events, we have one-on-one matchmaker meetings with some of our corporate members. So really getting that face time and forming these relationships with these corporations and their supplier diversity teams. Some events that are going on right now, our WeBank is doing a women owned in retail program. So with companies like Lowe's and Target, how to do business with them, how to best present your company as someone supplying retail products. WeBank also has a Women of Color program specifically for challenges for women of color as certified companies. And also going on right now is the Next Gen Pitch Competition, which is for millennial-owned, women-owned companies pitching their companies, and there are pitching competitions throughout the year. Earlier this year, there was a sustainability pitch competition with, I think, $5,000 at the end. So practicing your pitching and then getting yourself out there and maybe winning some money. That's all I have. And I look forward to speaking with you all in the breakout rooms.
All right, thank you, Anastasia, appreciate it. I am going to pass it off to Philip DeValiger, I hope I said that correctly, who's the Vice President for Supplier Diversity for Disability In.
Stephen, thank you so much. And it's great to be with you all today. I am Philip DeValiger, Vice President of Supplier Diversity at Disability In. For those of you who may not be able to see your screen, I'm a gay white male with gray hair, a gray goatee. I'm wearing a blue shirt, and I am sitting in my office in Maryland while it is raining outside. Again, great to be with you today. A little bit about Disability In. We are your business partner for everything disability inclusion. So we empower our corporate partners to become more disability inclusive. One of the pillars that we operate in, obviously, is supplier diversity, and we are recognized as a highly credible national certification organization for those businesses that are owned by people with disabilities. And we follow really the same criteria as our friends at NGLCC and WeBank and NMSDC. That 51% owned, operated, and managed and controlled is key to that criteria. One of the biggest benefits of being certified with Disability In is really the access. The access to our corporate partners, the access to other disability-owned businesses, the access to other diverse-owned businesses. We stand on the shoulders of NGLCC and WeBank, who actually helped us stand up our certification process 10 years ago, and are always grateful for their support. I'd like to back up a little bit about disability itself, and I'm gonna go into this mode. A lot of people don't necessarily understand the full breadth of what disability is and means. Today we have over 1 billion with a B, estimated people with disabilities around the world. It's an enormous population of individuals, and we're hoping to copy that enormous population within our certified supplier base. In the US alone, it's estimated that 1 in 5 people live with a disability. And I'll just also add that 75% of those disabilities are non-apparent. Things like HIV, depression, post-traumatic stress, dyslexia, any learning type of disability is part of the disability community. And also, people with disabilities are 50% more times likely to become an entrepreneur, to be self-employed. So again, a relatively large population of individuals, but oftentimes are stigmatized and kind of left behind. As a supplier that is certified with disability. And as I mentioned, the access is key to all of these engagement opportunities. And they're very, very similar to all of our friends at our other certifying organizations. We have an annual global conference. This past year, over 4,000 people from over 30 countries attended virtually. We have a terrific supplier mentoring program that has really helped stand up our suppliers over this past couple of years, in particular, when business challenges were facing them. Business matchmaking, obviously, throughout the year. We have a teleconference series where you can meet all of our corporate partners and see how they do business and what they buy. We have customized corporate events throughout the year. Annual Pitch Perfect competition is coming up. We have our semifinals in a couple of weeks, and then our final competition is in October. We're looking forward to that. Obviously, educational programs, executive programs, capacity building programs are all part of what we provide to our suppliers. And I know you've heard it this morning that, to have multiple certifications is really important, and we really emphasize that. So, for our suppliers to become certified, this is the process, very similar to our friends in all of the other organizations. We have an online secure application process. These are all of the documents that, that Ty recommended and referred to earlier, including our disability qualifying document. And one that is probably the most popular is an affidavit from a physician that person that is applying is in fact a person with a disability, and that disability significantly impacts their life activities. So we follow the ADA's definition of disability, any physical or mental impairment that significantly impacts a life activity. We do have an independent committee review, and that review is conducted within 30 to 90 days. For those of you who may be certified with NGLCC and WeBank, you get a really fast track to certification with disability in. So we encourage you to join us. And our certification is valid for 2 years at a cost of $300. And you can, as you see on the right side of your screen, we have a Adobe certification. That's what we call our certified suppliers, as well as a service disabled veteran Adobe. So we call out our veteran community as well. And with that, if you need additional information, feel free to contact me or visit our website, and I will plug these into the chat. And thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the event.
All right, thank you, Philip. Anyone with questions for Philip? We do have our breakout sessions at the end of this event, so just a reminder to stick around for those. Next up, I will invite Lizette Santos, who is the Senior Administrator for the New York, New Jersey National Minority Supplier Development Council, and she'll be speaking about minority certifications through that organization. So Lizette.
Thank you, Stephen. I hope you guys can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to attempt to share my screen here. Stephen, please let me know if you can all view it.
We can see it.
Hi, so my name is Lizette Santos. I'm Senior Administrator of Corporate Services and MBE recertification. And I'm going to try to go through this deck as quickly as possible. We offer a pre-certification workshop twice a month. And I'm going to share some information. It's a bit similar to what my colleagues have already spoken about, but here we go. So I'm going to give you a brief overview in the interest of time. We make up one of 23 affiliate councils under the National Minority Supplier Development Council. We cover the state of New York as well as northern New Jersey, down and including Trenton. Our mission, as many of you, is to create a high-level value for our stakeholders as well as our MBEs and corporate members, and to certify and develop ethnic minority businesses and to build sustainable, diverse supply chains, and also to advocate growth and development for all of our constituents. Now, similar to a lot of the information that my colleagues have already provided and asked for with their certification, we are very much similar. The certification is to ensure compliance with the National Minority Supplier Development Council to assure that the entity is a bona fide ethnic minority business owned and operated and controlled by an ethnic minority. Certification with the council is honored nationwide and is recognized. Now, the council certifies U.S. citizens who can validate 25% ethnic origin in one of the following categories, be it Asian Pacific, Indian, African American, Hispanic, or Latino American, and Native American. This deck, I'm more than happy to share with you all, as I'm going to be going through it very quickly. Additional ethnic groups that may be also included can be found on the NMSDC website. And as I mentioned, I will be sharing this. Those who are not eligible are Caucasian, white male and female, resident alien green card holders, Iberian Peninsula, such as Spain and Portugal, Middle East, Iran, Iraq, African countries north of the Sahara. The council certification is based on bloodline rather than nationality and gender. It's also the responsibility of the applicant to provide the information that we require for certification eligibility. It must be, among the criteria, it must be a legally organized entity established as a full-time profit-making entity and at least 51% owned by a United States citizen or naturalized citizen who is Black, Hispanic, Native American, or Asian. Excuse me. The minority group members' ownership interest in the firm must be real, substantial, and continuing under the day-to-day control and guidance of the minority group. And I really don't want to bore you guys with all of this because I feel that this is sort of like the norm across what is required with most certifying agencies. Our process, in fact, is that we ask that you submit an application with all of the supporting documentation. There is an audit where all of this information is reviewed. If there are meetings, we also ask for the minutes, capability statements, and so on and so forth. So there are many different documentations, so I won't bore you with this. I'm going to just go sort of quickly through it, which is similar to the other agencies. Their requirements as far as a driver's license, U.S. citizen, partnerships or shareholder proof of all of that information, as well as proof of ethnicity, current resumes, and we ask for 2 years of complete federal business taxes. If you're a startup, we require that your personal taxes be provided. All of this information, again, is very basic and generic and is what is normally asked across the board. I'm going to skip through this as well because this is additional to what I've just stated. Articles of incorporation, the bylaws, and so on and so forth are some of the documents that we require. And I get it, it is a lot, but it's our process in order to confirm that you are who you say you are. The certification with the council is an annual certification, and there's sort of a tier process. A class 1 is an organization that makes under $1 million. And that fee for certification is $400. A tier 2 would be a company making anywhere between 1 or 10 million, and that fee is $600. A class 3 would be 10 to 50 million, and that fee is $1,000, followed by a class 4 company, which is a company making over $50 million, and that's $1,500. This is an annual membership with the council. Recertification would be the following year after your first year, and that's lessened by about approximately $50. We ask individuals if they're having difficulty either obtaining the information that we require or just filling out the information to contact their small business development center or a legal counsel specializing in business formation. We also pride ourselves in processing the information that is obtained within 30 days or less upon submitting your application. We kind of give ourselves a grace period of 30 to 45 days, but we have such a great team, as Mita mentioned, with Dora Reddick, and we really do process the certification applications within 30 days. We also provide subscriptions, which this page speaks about subscriptions. So if you are not within our regional area, which is the state of New York or New Jersey, you can still certify with or subscribe with the council. And this speaks to that. Again, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through the entire deck. However, when we have our breakout sessions, if there are questions that you have, please feel free to ask them. And I can also share this information with you as well. Some important things to know is, you know, which again has been reiterated, sort of speaking to what your company is good at, right? And also having a professional email as well as a website, so that when our corporate members are looking into your company, it looks professional. And when we do sourcings, we can also pull out companies that are specific to the needs that they are requiring, meaning don't put in your capability statement that you're a jack of all trades. Sort of speak to the things that you're really good at and fine tune them, so it makes it easier for us when we are doing a sourcing for our corporations, which is they may have a contract that's going out and they may need minority business owners. And when we do a sourcing, we're looking to find you. Please make it easy for us to identify you and to really understand what it is that you do, which again goes back to the capability statement. I know I've said a mouthful. This final deck shows my information as well as Dora's, which I'm happy to share as well in the chat if there are any questions. And also when we have our breakout sessions. And I apologize that I kind of went through that very quickly, but in the interest of time and to the other speakers, I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you for listening to me and for allowing me to participate.
Thank you so much, Lizette, for all that wonderful information. I know we're going to have a lot of people interested in learning more in the breakout sessions, so reminder to stick around for those. I would also just encourage everyone to stand up, stretch, do a little, shake it out. We've got a lot of stuff that's been thrown at you this morning. So, re-energize, wake up. We've still got a little bit more to go. And I will invite Nancy Connor, who is the Director of Certification for the National Veteran-Owned Business Association, to be our next presenter.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And it's a pleasure to be here with everyone today. I am Nancy Connor, and I'm happy to present some information to you about NVOBA, the National Veteran-Owned Business Association. If you are a U.S. military veteran, we thank you so much for your service, and we want to make you aware of the opportunities that becoming a certified VBE can bring to your business. I'll start out by saying that we're a very young organization. We have been in existence since 2017. We were founded at the request of many, many corporate members of all of the various organizations that have already preceded me in presenting their certification processes. Veterans were kind of the last category, if you will, of diversity that corporate America has officially wanted to embrace and include in their supplier inclusion programs. So they wanted a certification that they could trust and rely on. And what better model for that is the same exact certification model that NGLCC, Disability In, WeBank, NMSCC, et cetera. We've founded and based our standards and procedures on the very same processes that the already established, nationally recognized and preferred certification processes that already existed in the country. So we are fortunate that we didn't have to recreate the wheel. We just needed to modify it so that we could be inclusive of America's U.S. military veterans. Here's just a little bit of information for you. Navoba is pleased to bring you corporations that have been founded by U.S. military veterans. And did you know that veterans are at least 45% more likely to take the plunge into entrepreneurship? And there's many reasons for that, but primarily it's because of the excellent training and skills that they bring to the business community. If you think about it, a veteran is someone who is highly focused on assembling the right team and accomplishing a mission. This is the same thing that they did in the military, and this is the same skills that are required to be a successful entrepreneur. So it's logical and not really that big of a surprise when you think about it, that 45% are more likely to become entrepreneurs. The process that Navoba follows is, as I said before, identical to what the other NGOs in America utilize. And if you think about it, there is a huge intersection of US military veterans with all the communities that you've already heard from, right? Veterans are people of color. Veterans are women. Veterans are LGBT individuals. There are a number of ways that our organization intersects with the other certifying groups in America. We have just finally become a standalone, if you will, for those individuals that want to be certified and recognized in corporate supply chains. So here's how our process works. We kind of have the benefit of being last. We benefit from, you know, process improvements and technology updates. We haven't had to stop doing anything the old way. We started doing everything in a very modern and technology-driven process and format. So our process is pretty efficient. We start with an online pre-qualification. We don't want you to apply or we don't want to take your application fee if you can't meet our bare minimum of pre-qualification. And that is really being confident and being able to verify that you in fact are a veteran. The criteria of 51% or more owned, controlled, and operated, identical to the other organizations, but that operated by must be a person who has exited the United States military and has a DD 214 form. So that's our document, that is the official document that proves a person truly is a veteran. We go on further from there to verify if they're a service disabled veteran, but everyone who gets released from the military has to have a DD 214 form, and that's what we need to start our process. So the application is completed online. The required documents are uploaded in a secure, password protected site. And then we review that document, that entire application. We conduct an on-site interview. Much like everyone else, we've been doing those electronically for the past year because of the pandemic. But we know that that online or that virtual site visit is a very effective way for us to continue to keep our applications moving and get our applicants through the process and certified in a very efficient and streamlined manner. We also have a couple ways to streamline the application process. So if you are already certified with the government through something known as the CVE, which is the Center for Verification, I don't know, it's the way they verify veterans for government contracts, we require a little bit less paperwork. If you're already certified by one of the NGOs that are listed here, NGLCC, WeBank, NMSDC, DisabilityIn, we waive the site visit. We know you've already had one. If you meet our criteria for ownership and it's the same individual that met the criteria for ownership and control, in these other organizations, we don't need you to sit down and have another on-site interview. We recognize those other certifications, and we can approve your application in a more efficient and streamlined manner. And now I'll just talk a little bit about why you want to think about getting certified with Novoba. It's important to remember, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify your customer base if you can. If you're interested in doing business with Fortune 500s, Novoba certification is really valuable for you, because these corporations have had existing supplier diversity programs for many years, but they don't have many veterans in their database or in their supply chain. So it's a great time to get certified and get in there and present yourself for opportunities with our corporate allies. You also become part of a very interactive, searchable database that our corporate allies use for sourcing opportunities. One of the features of that database is a detailed capability statement, which is something that our corporations really love. You can download, of course, your certificate if a customer wants to see your certificate, but also you can download a one-pager. Everybody asks you for a one-page, give me something that I can share with my buyers. Give me a one-pager that talks about all of your capabilities. Well, we have that built into our database process. So you, as a certified veteran or as certified service disabled on veteran business, have the opportunity at the press of a button to download your one-page capability statement right out of our database. We have more than 100 corporate allies. We have all the same corporate allies that all the other national organizations have. We just don't have all of them, but if you're familiar with the WeBank or Disability in corporate membership, if a corporation is an ally of Novoba, you're certainly going to be able to meet them in those other organizations as well. We have a weekly networking opportunity. We call it Marching Forward Monday. And every Monday, a handful of our certified veterans present their capabilities to our audience of corporate allies and other veteran-owned businesses. We encourage, just as the other organizations do, veterans doing business with veterans. And we have a number of examples of that where our veterans have found suppliers that they need to run their businesses through the process of networking at our Marching Forward Monday. We do have a 2-year certification, just as Philip shared with you. So there's an extreme value there, and more than the cost, the value is you don't have to go through all that application process for every year. You get a 2-year process, and that's a huge time saver for all the small businesses. We do have our application fees based on your annual revenues. The lowest possible is $350. Again, that's for 2 years. And we even have some grant funding available for you. So this would be a great time if you're a veteran and want to get your business certified. We have a grant that can waive the application fee for you. We offer recognition awards. We partner with the other organizations, with NGLCC, for example, at their national conference. Novoba hosts a LGBT Veteran of the Year Award, and we recognize suppliers who are both veterans as well as LGBT individuals. In addition to that, we do the same for Minority Veteran of the Year, Woman Veteran of the Year, and finally, we have Corporations of the Year. So we also recognize the corporate allies who have supported the veteran business community. Whoops. We, like WeBank, have our own veteran-owned logo for products on the store shelves. And all of the, the value, again, it bears repeating that you get to interact with corporate allies and use your certification as a introductory point with the corporations, but it doesn't guarantee you anything other than recognition in our database. You do always still need to do the work to leverage your certification and network within our organization to grow your business. I have my contact information down here for you. I don't need to repeat a lot of the same things, but know that the NBOBA process is reputable and follows the very same standards that you're used to if you are an LGBT certified business or minority or woman-owned business. You can trust our process. You know that we all have the same goal in mind, right? We don't compete with each other. Our organizations lift each other up and work hard to enable the success of all the various kinds of businesses that we certify. I don't need to go into the value of corporate membership, but I want to thank you for your attention, and I look forward to seeing you all in the breakout session.
Thank you all. Thank you very much, Nancy. Appreciate it. I'm going to pass it over to Don Newman, who is our Director of Small Business Advocacy for the New Jersey Business Action Center. Don?
Yes, good morning, and thank you very much for having me present today. First of all, I want to make something clear. I am not a certification officer. I don't work for the agency within the state that does these certifications, but I do have a lot of experience with these programs and understand them, so I can assist you in accessing those certifications. So the first thing, Hester actually in her speech mentioned the certifications that the state has to offer. I do want to mention two things that I usually mention when we're talking about these certifications, because they're not technically certifications, but they're important to understand. And that is, if you're going to be seeking public works contractors, public works contracts, you have to be a registered public works contractor. So I have a link here on this screen for information about getting certified or registered, as a public works contractor. And if you want to do construction contracts, you have to be registered with the Division of Property Management and Construction with the state of New Jersey. So those are two not the kind of certifications we've been talking about today, but important factors in getting it, doing procurement in those areas. I know those links are very long, but don't forget that this is going to be recorded, so you'll be able to go back and pause on each of the slides to gather the information that you need. But the certifications that the state offers through the Division of Revenue and Enterprise Services, their certification office is a small business enterprise, women and minority business enterprise. That's actually two certifications, but we talk about it together because it's all in the same, they were all created by the same statute. And also the service disabled veteran owned enterprise. There is also a VOB, a veteran owned business enterprise. It has very similar requirements as a service disabled veteran owned enterprise, except that you don't have to be disabled. So I kind of just lump that together in terms for time constraints, but that's also a certification that you can obtain from the state. So the SBE qualifications are you have to be have less than 100 employees, and then there are 6 different categories, and I'm not going to go through all of them, except that the first 3 are for goods and services. So if you're selling a product or a service, then you may fall into one of those 3 categories based on your gross revenues. Part of the program is a static number. So for example, gross revenues that do not exceed 500,000 would place you in a category 1. But as you get to the higher end of the scale, you'll see that we refer to a federal standard, which is industry specific. So if you're in one industry, that top end of the scale might be a little different than if you're in a different industry. So you need to be aware of that if you're approaching that approximately 12 million mark or whatever the industry standard that you are in. The last 3 categories for the SBE are for construction related companies. So, if you sell carpet to the state for a new building that they're building, that's going to be goods and services. If you install that carpet and you're actually providing the construction work, now you're going to be talking about category 4, 5, and 6. And you could qualify in multiple categories. So you could, if for the goods and services you sell, you could qualify in 1, 2, or 3. But these actual construction work that you do, you could qualify in categories 4, 5, and 6. So that's those are the revenue standards for the business. Then you also need to be New Jersey based, and we define that as 51% of your employees work in New Jersey and are supported are paid that pay into New Jersey unemployment, or 51% of your activities, your business activities occur in New Jersey. So either one of those two will qualify you as being New Jersey based. So even if your physical location is outside the state, as long as you're doing all your work in New Jersey, or your employees are all New Jersey residents and paying into unemployment, you may still be able to qualify. You do have to be a for-profit business, and it could be any of the normal business structures: sole proprietorship, partnership, LLC, corporation, etc. So no nonprofits are not eligible. And there are some exceptions when it comes to the employment features. For example, seasonal employees and consultants that are helping you get these certifications could be exempted from that the 100% cap on the number of employees. MBE, WBE qualifications, again, you could qualify for both, but and the requirements are basically interchangeable. You have to be 51% owned by a member of the designated group, whether it be women or a minority, and you also have to be controlled by that member of that group. So someone already talked a little bit about control, and I'm going to reemphasize that, because that is probably the biggest stumbling block to getting certification. I used to work in that office. I mentioned up front that I don't work in that office anymore, but I used to supervise the auditors in the office that do these certifications. And what we would have is a company who is owned on paper by a member of the designated group, but the day-to-day operations of that organization are run by someone else who is not a designated member of that group. Therefore, they would not qualify. So if you have a male who is given to 51% of ownership to his wife for his business, but he runs the business, they're not going to qualify, even if they are 51%. The female is 51% owner. So that's an important distinction that many applicants kind of overlook. So you need to make sure. And one of the criteria is you have to have the technical experience to make those day-to-day decisions. So if you have someone who is an engineer, it's a bad example because engineering firms have to be owned by the engineer, but an electrician, and 51% of the ownership is for someone who is not a licensed electrician, you better be able to show that that owner is capable of making day-to-day decisions and not depending on the expertise of the licensed electrician. So there are some significant issues when it comes to controlling of your business. The minority categories that we have, and their definitions are here, so I'm not going to go over them, but Black, Hispanic, Asian American, and that includes Pacific Islands and Hawaii and so on. American Indian or Alaskan Native. And I would point out that the, okay, I think I might be missing one, but I do want to point out under Hispanic that, if you're a European, Spanish or Portuguese, you're not, that doesn't make you Hispanic under this definition. Hispanic has to be, you could be a Spanish or Portuguese culture, but you have to be origins in other parts of the world. There are several documents that you may need for an M or WBE qualification. And I'm just going to slowly scroll through these screens. so that you can come back later and take a look at them. You may be asked for all of these or some of these when you make your application or as a request for additional information. And I'm going to mention that, part of what we're looking for when we review these kinds of documents is, do you meet those qualifications that we talked about earlier? So one example is, how do I tell whether or not the owner is the true owner of the business? Well, one way is we can look at their salary. And if you're paying somebody, if you're the owner of the business and you're taking home, $25,000 a year in salary, and yet you have a non-member of the designated group that is taking home $125,000 in salary, that may not be a disqualifier, but it's certainly going to raise a red flag that maybe that's the real owner of the business and has the real control. So they may be asking you for some additional documentation to show that you have that technical experience and that you have the actual operational control of that business. I often get people complain to me that, why are we making this so complicated? And it's very, very simple. It's protect you as a minority or woman-owned business owner, because if we allow businesses to get these certifications that aren't truly qualified, that means that we're giving them the same competitive edge we're trying to give you by getting these certifications. So the state takes this seriously because we're trying to protect the integrity of these programs to benefit you. So don't get frustrated when we say to you, can we have a copy of your resume? Or the state doesn't do the on-site interviews rarely, very rarely. But the other organizations that do, don't get, that's why they're doing this. They're trying to protect the integrity of this program so that your benefits aren't diluted by allowing businesses that are not qualified these certifications. Service disabled veteran-owned businesses, similar to what was mentioned before, we do look towards the Federal Division of Veterans Affairs for their definitions to show that you are service disabled. But you have to be a New Jersey-based business, independently owned and operated, and have your principal place of business in the state of New Jersey. I also want to mention that when we talk about independently owned and operated, some of our certifications will not accept franchises, because franchises have to conform to operational control from the franchise organization, their standard operating procedure that comes from the franchise. So they will not be considered for certification. The other thing that trips up a lot of people are gifted ownership. If you recently became the majority owner of this business and you qualify in one of the designated groups, but you didn't pay for those shares of stock out of your own personal funds, that will also be a red flag that you may not be truly independently owned and operated, that you may have an obligation to the person that gave you those shares. So when dad gives his daughter the shares of stock so they can get the MBE, they may end up getting rejected unless she can show that she actually paid her father for those shares. And that would be true of any family member or friend or former employee, or that is a former employer that is now an employee of your company. All of those things would raise red flags. So again, one of the things I like to say about my role in all of this is that I'm going to tell you the inside baseball about what those auditors are looking for, where some of them will not talk to you about that because it's sort of what they're what they're trying to do is look at these documents to prove certain things. But because I'm not the certifying officer, I can tell you some of the things that they may not be willing to tell you directly.
Hey, Don, I'm just going to jump in real quick and ask you to finish in within 1 minute.
Yep, not a problem. That's exactly what I plan on doing. So this page, and again, you can pause it, has the link to the registration page where all the services for all these organizations, all these certifications can be processed. Everything is online on this portal. Once you set up this portal, and there is no fee. As of June of this year, there is no fee. This is my contact information, as well as the business.nj.gov site, which has a chat feature, which allows you to ask questions directly to my staff. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is that because I noticed a few people in the chat, on this application, there are some technical assistance services that I can connect you to help you navigate this process. So feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be glad to connect you with those services.
Excellent. Thank you, Don. A lot of great information. And I know I'm sure people are going to be jumping in and out of your session, the breakout room session at the end of the event. So next I will turn it over to Sucheta Premchan and Liza. Oh boy, Akub Zanova. I hope I said that correctly. Akub Zanova from the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. It's still morning. So it's a pleasure to be here. I am Sucheta Premchan. I'm the Certification Manager for Certification Programs at the Port Authority Office of Diversity and Inclusion. So for today's session, we'll talk about certification at the Port Authority. And with me is Liza Akub-Zanova, who's our senior analyst, and we will both answer questions in the break room session. And I also have our colleague from GoCor, Sybil Bost, who's running the slides for us. So in the next slide, Sybil, please. So I'm going to begin by talking about opportunities that you have through our certification process. In the ODI really is the acronym for Office of Diversity and Inclusion. So the ODI Supplier Diversity Program helps the region's minority women, small disabled businesses participate in our business opportunities. How do we do this? At the Port Authority, we believe that our operation should reflect the diversity of our community. Our board enacted the following participation goals: 20% of goals for minority-owned business enterprise, 10% goes towards women-owned business enterprises, or WBE acronym, 3% service disabled veteran-owned businesses. And this is a new program that we have. And we require not only, these goals don't not only apply to our contracts, but we require each of our partners to also adopt these goals. And the first step in this process is certification. So in the next slide. Next slide, please. These are the various certification programs that we have at the Port Authority. I'm going to talk about the certification programs. We have the eligibility criteria for each program and the process, as well as some tips that you can utilize. So amongst the certification programs that we have Minority Business Enterprise, acronym MBE, Women-Owned Business Enterprise, acronym WBE, Small Business Enterprise, acronym SBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, DBE, Airport Concessionaires Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, ACDBE, and Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Business, SDVOB. Now, each of these certifications have a validity period. M and WB are renewed every 5 years. Small business and service disabled veteran-owned business will be renewed every 3 years. DBE and ACDB gets renewed every year through the no change affidavit. Now, the DBE and ACDB are federally regulated, and we use the federal regulations for these programs. MWSB and SDVOB are Port Authority programs, and we utilize our certification guidelines for these. And with that, I go on to the next slide, please. So one of the recent certifications that we have is the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Business. There's a policy in place where we encourage good faith effort, 3% service disabled veteran-owned businesses in our contracts. It's inclusive team of SDVOB is reflective of the demographics, racially and ethnically from the local community. It's commensurate with the availability of SDVOBs for a particular industry that the project is for. And with that, we go on to the next slide. I'm going to touch briefly on how our certification process flowchart works. Once an applicant submits the application through our portal, which is panyj.diversitysoftware.com, we have an operations team that does the preliminary review of all the documents submitted. If there's anything missing, we return back to the applicant to make sure that the package is complete. Once all the documents are received, the case file will be assigned to an analyst who will conduct he or she will conduct an in-depth analysis of the documents to determine if the firm meets the certification guidelines and is eligible for that certification. There might be more documents asked to verify eligibility, and once we have everything, a certification is granted. So we go on to the next slide, please. I'll talk briefly I know my colleagues and previous speakers have already spoken about this, and I'm going to keep it briefly touch on each eligibility criteria for certification. For MWBs, it's 51% owned and managed by minority or woman owner or owners who are citizens or permanent residents. They make the critical day-to-day decisions. The capital contribution is real, substantial, and continuing, and they've been in business for a year. With DBE again, disadvantaged business enterprise is 51% owned by individual or individuals categorized as economically or socially disadvantaged citizens or permanent residents as per the Code of Federal Regulations 49, Part 26. There is a size standards for program and industry. There's also a personal net worth that we look at. We use the North American Industrial Classification System codes, or NAC codes as it's generally called. There's site visits required, and we also have unified certification partnership with New York and New Jersey. Our New York partners are MTA, New York DOT, Niagara Frontier Transit Authority, and as we make up the New York UCP. And on the New Jersey side, we have New Jersey DOT and we have NJ Transit as our New Jersey partners. And this stems from the fact that Port Authority is a bi-state agency. And the next certification I'll talk about is the ACDB, which is the DB designed for airport concessionaires, and the threshold is slightly higher than that of the DB. SBE, or Small Business Enterprise, is a race and gender neutral certification. The firms need to be based in New York or New Jersey, so at least a year or more in business, and meet the Small Business Administration threshold standard for that particular industry that they work in. For construction firms, we have an additional qualification approval that is required, and the qualification is done by our engineering department. Service disabled veteran business is 51%. Service disabled veteran-owned business is 51% owned, managed by a service disabled veteran owner or owners. We would ask for a letter or documentation issued by the Veteran Affairs showing SDVOB status, and the principal place of business, or at least significant presence, should be in New York and New Jersey. With that, I ask you to move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So what basically is the focus of the certification review process? We're looking to increase participation of eligible firms, but we also want to ensure integrity of the program. I think Don mentioned it earlier. So this is our focus. And how do we do it? We take the application that is submitted and all the supporting documents, and if an on-site is required, that's performed. And then we ensure that the firms are eligible to be designated as MWSB, SDVOB, and DB and ACDB. I know it's a lot of acronyms, but eligible to be certified, basically. In the next slide, please.
I'm just gonna hop in here and say if you can finish up with the next 1 to 2 minutes, that'll be great.
Okay, give me 2 minutes if it's okay. So the MOU that briefly, I'll talk about the reciprocal agreement that we have. We have a MOU agreement between Port Authority and New York State Empire State Development Agency and the New York City Small Business Services. If a person is applying for the first time with any of these agencies and submits what we call an addendum to be certified with one of the MOU partners, once that agency completes, they will forward your documents and your application as well as the addendum to the agency that you're requesting to be certified with. All MOU partners reserve the right to perform independent reviews, and failure to certify with one entity does not preclude a firm from applying on its own to the other agency. So this is not a fast track or anything. It's just that the certification is completed and the documents forwarded. Okay, in the next slide, please. These are some of the resources that we give you. Port Authority website has the entire program listed and details about it. The site is panyj.gov/supplier diversity. Our certification portal is panyj.diversitysoftware.com. We have a certification hotline to assist you with any questions. It's 212-435-7888. We have a certification help email, which is certhelp@panyj.gov. And we encourage firms seeking certification to also register with the procurement department at www.paprocure.com to be considered for business opportunities, as well as fill out a personal services firm questionnaire for A&E business opportunities. And in the next slide. Oh, see, that was quick.
Perfect.
But I just wanted to thank everyone for your time, and we'll meet you in the breakout room later if you have any additional questions. And Liza and me will be there. And of course, good luck with everything. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Sucheta and Liza. Appreciate it. So we have 2 presenters left before we get to our breakout sessions, which I know is what everyone's looking forward to, but we have some great information still from 2 of our municipalities, Jersey City, and we're going to start with Jersey City's Office of Diversity and Inclusion. And with us today, we have Soraya Hebron, who is the director. So Soraya, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Stephen. A moment. Okay, let's see. Okay, can everybody see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. Thank you. My name is Soraya Hebron, and I'm the Chief Diversity Officer for the City of Jersey City. So we are representing government. So I just want to put it out there that we are not a certifying agency, but we have strong partnerships with all the organizations on the call today. And we are very excited to share, how you can get connected with us and do business with us. So first, a little bit about Jersey City. Jersey City is one of the most culturally diverse cities in the country, not just New Jersey, but the country. When you think about residents with different language backgrounds, racial, ethnic background, all types of identity, we are one of the most culturally diverse cities in the country, and we pride ourselves on that. We are also the 2nd largest municipality in the state of New Jersey with a population of approximately 292,000. And we are also the largest municipality in Hudson County. Each year we spend approximately $100 million on goods and services, which covers a wide range of products. So when you think about the things that we might buy, I want you to think about what city government does. So everything from parks and recreation to public safety, health and human services, everything that we do on a daily basis to provide public service for our residents, we need to buy something on the other end. So I don't want anyone to put themselves in a box or think maybe they might not be a good match to do business with Jersey City. If you have any questions or you're not sure, always just reach out to us. But there's usually always an opportunity for us to use a business, even if it may be unpopular. And lastly, in 2018, Mayor Stephen Fulop signed twin executive orders actually with the city of Hoboken, expanding the city's supplier diversity support for LGBT-owned businesses, disability-owned businesses, and veteran-owned businesses. So a little bit about our supplier diversity program, which the Office of Diversity and Inclusion manages. So it has a few components. First is our goals and our aspirations. So we keep track, of our spend, but this pie chart breaks down what our goals are. And we know that it won't be, a clean cut picture or record, because all of these identities overlap, which we've heard today, which we all know too well. So 15% minority owned, 10% woman owned, veteran owned is 4%, and then we have LGBT owned and disability owned businesses, each at 3%. And these are our goals for our set aside program, but also our general goods and service spend that falls beneath that threshold. So we register diverse owned businesses. Unlike the other agencies that have spoken this morning, we don't certify, but we do register you, and we recognize all of the certifications that have been explained this morning. Our set aside program, and this is important, it triggers at an amount of $44,000. So that's going to be our larger contracts. And this is set by New Jersey public contracts law. And so over that threshold is when we have to change our process of how we identify who we work with. So at $44,000, we need to issue formal bids. We have to put solicitations in newspapers. And the set aside is a tool that allows us to really hone in and give the extra support to the disadvantaged owned or diverse owned businesses. And so that's where you're going to see the set aside rules kick in. Beneath that threshold now, we have a little bit more flexibility about who we can work with on a day-to-day basis. And so for contracts underneath $44,000, it's really integral that you register with us, because a lot of those relationships are brokered through knowledge of who is available. And so that's where registering with us on our directory is going to be key for you getting your foot in the door, introducing yourself to not only my office, but all of the city end users who are looking for buyers, and making sure that you're always updated on new opportunities. And lastly, our team provides supplier outreach, attending events like this, hosting events with all of our partners, and then also connecting one-on-one with businesses and seeing where we can direct them to receive the best support. So how to register? You're going to go to jerseycitynj.gov/ODI and complete the Supplier Diversity Directory registration form. The requirements are: 1, that you provide a good or service that we purchase, and 2, you have to identify with at least one of the diverse owned categories that was on the previous slide. So once again, that's minority owned, woman owned, veteran, LGBT, or disability owned business. If you have the DBE certification as well, that qualifies, because that goes to the economically disadvantaged constituencies. But those are the 2 requirements for registering with us. If you're not sure if you provide a good or service that we purchase, then you can always just contact us and we can confirm if you'd be a good fit. And the benefits of registering are: 1, it's going to increase your exposure, not just for our end users in the city, but also for Jersey City residents. As I mentioned, we're a very diverse city, and our residents do like to be cognizant of who they're giving their money to. We always have residents call and ask, if there's a minority-owned business that, provides this service, or if there's an LGBT-owned business that provides this service. So being connected with us is going to introduce you to new clients in all different sectors and all different levels. And then lastly, we take very seriously sharing information, because we know that business owners are very busy and your time is precious. So we do our best to push out information from all of our partners about opportunities, even if it's outside of the city. We make sure that you're registered with us so we can keep you in the loop about upcoming opportunities. And speaking of, I'm going to just close with 2 events that we actually have coming up. One is with one of our partners that actually spoke a little bit before me, Disability In. We're actually having a certification event with them a few weeks from now. So if you have any friends who missed this event and did not get the information, you can tell them to join us in a few weeks so they can join us live and get their questions answered live. And then also we are having an event geared toward the construction sector to help us identify subcontractors for an upcoming energy efficiency project in Jersey City. So please keep in touch with us. You can visit our website. You can email us at diversityandinclusion@jcnj, or you can follow us on Twitter so you can stay up to date with contract opportunities, business support opportunities, and much more. Thank you.
Thank you, Soraya. Excellent information as always. We appreciate you being on today. And I will turn it over for our last presenter before we get to our breakout room sessions, who is James Chambers, and he's the coordinator for the Mercer County Small Business Outreach Program. James.
Stephen, thank you. And I thank every small business owner who's joined us today and have really taken time out of your busy schedule and stuck with us to the end. Thank you very much. We're honored to be here and very happy to have you. To save your time and energy, I'm not going to go through a PowerPoint presentation. We've all been sitting here for hours today. We've gotten tons of information. What I'm here to tell you is Mercer County government is here to help serve you, and we're interested to know about your business and how we can help you. More importantly, we go out to contract with vendors for all sorts of goods and services, and we need you. We need you to provide goods and services and also to help us. So the primary way to do that is through our website, which is mercercounty.org. I'm going to put some of this information in the chat room. And I'm also very honored this morning to have Wendy Sturgeon from our office here, who's worked tirelessly to help us through the pandemic, reaching out to small businesses and medium-sized businesses to answer any question you had. So I'm going to drop our email and information in the chat now and encourage you to please follow up through the breakout sessions and throughout. One of the best ways really to work with us is through our electronic devices. So I've just placed that in the chat now. I highly encourage you to take moments out of your very busy schedules and fill out our small business designation form. Again, like Sabraya Hebron from the great city of Jersey City just mentioned, local government doesn't certify. We rely upon the certifications of New Jersey through the State Department of our treasurer. So you've already met Chief Diversity Officer Agadosi this morning. I thank her and her wonderful staff, John Cronin and Anna Villagran, for getting that process rolling. Mercer County is fortunate to have very diverse suppliers in our supply chain. And in 2018, our county executive and our board of freeholders passed an ordinance. And what this ordinance did was establish targets. What they said was out of 10% of our procurement spend, they wanted 30% to go to minority business enterprises, 30% to women business enterprises, 30% to veteran business enterprises, and 10% for small business enterprises. So the other big part of that ordinance was to conduct a disparity study. And we are honored to have contracted 35th Street dynamic woman by the name of Danielle Walters and her phenomenal team are helping the county go through a quantitative and qualitative analysis to analyze where we spent the money, where the dollars were, and where they spent with these various businesses. And I can tell you without any fear of hesitation or doubt that we're coming in at less than 10%. Therefore, we need to work harder. So Wendy and I are on a mission to meet your companies, to bring you in to Mercer County. And one of the primary ways we do that is through our procurement office, which advertises bids and RFPs. So if you join us on mercercounty.org and you come to our purchasing site, you are able to take a look at all the different bids and RFPs that we go out for. And that is where the magic happens, right? That's the contracts that are over $40,000, where we're able to develop relationships and help your businesses grow and scale and thrive in these harsh economic times. So I'm, again, James Chambers from the Mercer County Office of Small Business Outreach, and I'm really looking forward to connecting with you in the breakout sessions. I want to thank our partners and our friends, Stephen and Steve and the rest of your board at the LGBT Chamber. They have been phenomenally helpful from the minute that Danielle and I first reached out to help us with our survey and help answer questions for business owners. So kudos to you and your team, and thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, James. We appreciate that. So All right, this is what everyone's been waiting for very patiently, our breakout session. So we're very excited. I'm just going to share my screen real quick and go over kind of the rules of engagement before we do, and then we'll go from there. So breakout rooms. This is your opportunity. There's going to be 2 breakout room sessions, 15 minutes each. I understand we've taken up a lot of your time already. So if you feel the need, these rooms should be open for you to kind of jump in and out of. So once you've got the information you need, you can opt to another room. You should be able to do that. This is our first time kind of using these on a large scale. So if that's not available, I apologize, but we will circle back in 15 minutes and you'll go to your next room. So this is your time to speak with the Fortune 500 companies, the certifying organizations and municipalities that want to do business with you. And you selected 2 that you want to speak with when you register. So I've done the kind of legwork while everyone else is speaking and already assigned you to your first choice in terms of the breakout rooms for the first session. So when we regroup for the second session, I will just have you all go to your take quite some time to organize those. So once you've got the information you've needed from your first session, just hop into your next room. We'll regroup after 15 minutes and then you'll go to your second room. And at the end of the breakout room session, there's going to be a 1-minute countdown timer that'll be provided before you're automatically placed back into this main room. And like I said, after those 15 minutes, you'll hop into your second or third Zoom rooms that you personally requested. I can help you get to those rooms. I have the whole list in front of me, but I believe everyone should probably remember who they wanted to catch up with, or they were inspired to catch up with someone else after hearing all this wonderful information. So with that being said, I'm going to open up these breakout rooms and we'll set the timer for about 15 minutes and enjoy.